What if everything society taught you about morality, truth, and religion was not absolute? What if those ideas were created by humans and could be changed? One philosopher dared to ask these dangerous questions. His ideas shocked the world, influenced psychology, literature, and modern philosophy, and are still debated today. His name was Friedrich Nietzsche. But who was he really? And why do his ideas still challenge the way we think about life? Early life. Friedrich Nietzsche was born in 1844 in Rücken, Germany. His father was a Lutheran pastor, which meant religion played a huge role in his childhood. Many people expected young Nietzsche to follow the same path and become a religious leader. But from an early age, Nietzsche was different. He was extremely intelligent and deeply curious. He loved reading, writing, and studying ancient Greek culture and philosophy. Tragedy struck early in his life when his father died when Nietzsche was just 5 years old. After this loss, he grew up surrounded mostly by women, his mother, grandmother, and aunts. Despite these challenges, Nietzsche became one of the most brilliant students of his time. By the age of 24, he achieved something remarkable. He became a professor of classical philology at the University of Basel in Switzerland. At that time, he was one of the youngest professors ever appointed, but his career in academia would not last long. Health problems and isolation. Throughout his life, Nietzsche struggled with severe health problems. He suffered from terrible headaches, eye pain, stomach issues, and poor vision. These illnesses became so intense that he eventually had to resign from his teaching position. Without a permanent job, Nietzsche spent much of his life traveling between cities in Switzerland, Italy, and France. He often lived alone, isolated from society. But during this period of loneliness and struggle, Nietzsche wrote the books that would later make him famous. Ironically, during his lifetime, most people ignored his work. His books sold very few copies. He was almost completely unknown. God is dead, his most famous idea. One of Nietzsche's most famous and controversial statements appears in his book, The Gay Science. In it, he wrote the famous line, "God is dead." Many people misunderstood this phrase. Nietzsche was not celebrating the death of religion, and he was not literally saying that God had died. Instead, he was describing a cultural change happening in Europe. Science, modern thinking, and skepticism were replacing traditional religious belief. For centuries, religion had provided society with moral rules and meaning, but Nietzsche believed that as belief in God declined, society would face a dangerous question. If religion no longer provides meaning, then where will meaning come from? He warned that this could lead to nihilism, the belief that life has no purpose. Nietzsche believed humanity would need to create new values. The idea of the Übermensch. One of Nietzsche's most powerful ideas appears in his famous book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. In this book, he introduces the concept of the Übermensch, often translated as the Overman, or Superman. According to Nietzsche, the Übermensch represents a person who creates their own values instead of blindly following society. Most people, Nietzsche believed, simply follow traditions, religion, and social expectations without questioning them. But the Übermensch is different. This person is strong, creative, independent, and brave enough to define their own purpose in life. Nietzsche believed humanity should strive toward this ideal, constantly improving and evolving. However, his ideas were often misunderstood later in history. Some groups twisted his philosophy for political purposes that Nietzsche himself would likely have rejected. His major books. Although Nietzsche was not famous during his life, he wrote several books that later became extremely influential. Some of his most important works include Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil on the Genealogy of Morality, The Birth of Tragedy. In these books, Nietzsche challenged traditional ideas about morality. He argued that many moral values, such as humility and obedience, were created by societies to control people. Instead, he encouraged individuals to think independently and create their own philosophy of life. The tragic collapse. In 1889, something tragic happened. While living in the city of Turin, Italy, Nietzsche suffered a mental collapse. After this breakdown, he was never mentally the same again. He spent the remaining years of his life under the care of his mother and later his sister. He never fully recovered. In 1900, Friedrich Nietzsche died at the age of 55. Ironically, the world began recognizing his genius only after his death. Influence and legacy. Today, Nietzsche is considered one of the most influential philosophers in history. His ideas helped shape modern philosophy, psychology, and literature. Thinkers such as Sigmund Freud, Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus were influenced by his work. Nietzsche forced people to question authority, morality, and the meaning of existence. Even today, more than a century later, his philosophy continues to challenge and inspire people around the world. Outro. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "Become who you are." It's a simple idea, but also a powerful challenge. Instead of blindly following society, Nietzsche believed every individual must discover their own meaning in life. And perhaps that is why his philosophy still fascinates people today. Because the question he asked humanity is still unanswered. If old beliefs disappear, what new values will we create?